having to get up and go do stuff is a great way to have gotten up and gone and done stuff that you can then feel good about and maybe even talk about to your friends.
Mm-hmm. But if you have no pressure to do that, that's talking about like people born into a lot of
God, it's a nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the most fascinating people I know are the ones that are like go-getters and not the sit around type. Like, you need to do something.
Yes.
It has
something
to be
meaningful, right?
Yeah, or fulfilling too. But you can't just. I have issues with some friends that are just always chilling. You're just always
would go crazy. I couldn't always chill.
There's never no stresses or like a pressure. You don't work out, nothing. You're just always just
hanging
it's weird
out.
to me. Yeah.
That's not, I mean, usually that's not particularly psychologically healthy. It sounds nice. Like when you're stressed, you want to be, relaxing. But then if all you do is relaxing, that actually gets really old really, really quickly.
Chillax is good because it's different from not chillaxing. When you're chillaxing all the time, you're neither chilling nor relaxing. You're doing nothing in a continuous way.
Yeah, really boring.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
For a lot of people. Some people don't mind. I mean, some people have a less problem with it. For me, I would lose my...
Some have very active inner worlds, a lot of imagination, and that works for them. But for a lot of people, that's not really. It's kind of miserable.
You were talking about the pandemic, how people that were sort of isolated or, it wasn't that severe prior to it kind of stayed the same. What about on the other side of the spectrum, the people who you saw it have a big impact on?
Yeah, I think people that had a more big impact, they would have like higher rates of substance use, like relapse, like maybe they were in recovery and they had built their life in a certain way. They were going to meetings, they were, AA meetings and things like that. And then all of a sudden that stops. They're more vulnerable to that kind of stuff kind of coming back. So I think we saw a fair amount of that sort of thing happening.
And there was also the just work endlessly. Because it's always available.
That's another thing. Yeah, people would, they would never really turn off, right? They would just be doing like their jobs like all day, all night. There's like no boundaries because there was no going to the office. I think that's still happening now. Like people are trying to like strike that right balance. But
yeah, the complete opposite of chillaxing. Some people just can't turn it off.
I mean, in the first couple months of the pandemic, I had a book published, a full-length album come out, 2 podcasts created, company founded, working full-time as a psychiatrist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there was nothing going on in my life, so I had to do stuff endlessly, which I imagine was quite annoying for everyone around me. Like, if you're done working, but I have another song to finish.
Yeah, you did. You adapted well to it.
Well, I mean, like, it was. I did that because normally I would do stuff and see friends and have a good time, or like do other things, like go out and do stuff, anything. And we were up in Connecticut at my mom's place because she has a lake house, and we were just there. And all I had was like work or music or a microphone, essentially, so I can make a podcast, whatever. And I just had no idea what to do with myself. Because, like, where am I going to go and get COVID?
Yeah. Well, that's why things like Clubhouse have become popular.
Awesome.
Like things like the social audio popping up and Twitter Spaces and all that kind of stuff. It's because people are wanting to connect. So that's one good thing that came from the pandemic, I think, is that like audio talking medium as being a thing.
Yeah, there's been over 1.6 million podcasts that have started since March of 2020. So it's good. It gave people something to do instead of just chilling all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, yes, and that's not like a sustainable plan for life necessarily. It's a thing that you can turn into something like you did, right? You took the opportunity to change your whole surroundings, to move out of your parents' place, to set up a studio in your house, to make this the thing you did. And now that can continue and be part of a life. At the same time, when we have to kind of figure out what our life's going to be in a new context, that can be really challenging. So, good things can be stressful too, is the long and short of it.
No, but I think there's good stresses, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think there's a certain amount of, like, activation that you kind of have to function well in the world, and for different people it's different. And the level of novelty or excitement any one person needs to be at their optimal functioning can be a lot or a little. But if you're not at it, it goes badly. So,
How has work-life balance seems to be a mental health talking point, like you were saying before. Some people just throw that out. Is there a right approach to work-life balance?
Yeah, I don't like that phrase. I guess
Why?
Because I think that it implies that like work is somehow not your life, or like it's a chore, and that life is something that happens outside of that. And I actually think that meaningful work, stuff that you're passionate about, is your life. And so I think more of like work-life integration, where you're able to kind of balance things in a way that makes sense and is cohesive, and not having like, if somebody doesn't want to go on vacation, then they don't want to go on vacation. Like maybe they don't like going to the beach, right? Maybe they actually just really love their job, whatever it is. And if that works for them, that's cool. And for someone else, that's not going to work. And so I don't like that sort of preconceived judgments around, oh, you shouldn't be working now, or that kind of thing. It just...
yeah, I have a whole like speech I've done about this multiple times. I think work-life balance is a total scam. It's either there to make women feel bad that they're being bad mothers.
Because
like
they're always going to be out of balance in some way.
There's no way you can there aren't enough hours for like a doctor, for example. If you do the math on like work-life balance and you assume the number of hours like a resident physician has to work and the number that are left after like eating, moving to and from work, etc., it's 0.4 hours a week you have left for life, assuming you only sleep 6 hours a night. And that you can't that's literally not what balance is, right? 0.4 hours and 156 not balanced by definition. So you can't balance that. So it's a great way to say you're not doing a good enough job at work-life balance. Maybe you should work on that in a situation
Go
that's
to a seminar about work-life balance.
Yeah, no, you really should
right?
get in tree pose about that because you got to work on your work-life balance. It's a way to make people feel bad when work is overwhelming and meaningless. Is my contention. And I think meaning and meaningful
Finding
work
meaning.
is the thing that keeps you from losing it and feeling bad. And at the same time, like the thing that should make you want to take a break is if not taking a break gets in the way of the meaning in your life, then you have every reason to do so, as opposed to just like, oh yeah, no, you need to be more balanced and take some time off from the thing that you hate and is crushing your spirit, but you're forced to do endlessly. Like, that's different from being like, you know what, I really need some time to make sure that when I come back, my ideas are fresh and I can change the world and buzz. Like, it's a different thing. And that's why I think it's a scam.
Yeah, and I think some people, like, they need to make that dramatic career change, like they need to listen to the data. Like, if they're really, really miserable in their career path, it might be time to actually make a more dramatic change. And I think we were talking earlier about medications and what they can do and what they can't. Like, Prozac isn't going to fix somebody who's like hating their job and it's really the wrong job for them, right? The treatment there, the prescription really should be to make a bigger change. Sometimes meds help people get there, of course, but I'm very much like that your work, what you do with your life, like that's going to make a huge difference in your mental health.
When I get asked about work-life balance, I don't really have an answer. I enjoy what I do.
Right.
So for me, it's not really work. I mean, now it is my job, but it's enjoyable. You know, I still have that hunger and desire of it being a hobby, a side thing that has now become my main source of income. And I can actually, I one of the reasons why I got depressed all those years ago before was because I just didn't know what I was doing. So I felt super insecure of, a friend of mine introduces me to a girl. Like, oh, I think you guys would be great together. I felt bad not bringing anything to the table. Just, just not having an answer of, oh, so what do you do? I don't know. I'm going to figure it out.
Hanging out.
Yeah. Like, I didn't want to be that guy, at 30 years old with no plan. Everybody's different. I get it. But for me, my work-life balance is now Monday through Wednesday on purpose. I've stacked my week early on. So then the rest of the week I can chill and, have fun. But it's a Friday that we linked up. So that doesn't matter to me. If someone was to tell me tomorrow is the only day that they could come in on a Saturday,
Make it work.
So be it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And for you, like the time you take off probably informs what you do on the air. Right. So, I mean, when I think about like the stressors people go under and the idea of work-life balance, like our feelings at the end of the day are a story we tell ourselves, how we feel about something. And we're putting together information to tell ourselves a coherent story. And then you have to kind of explain that to other people, like on a date. And this is one of those examples where, like, if you were to say the thing you were really thinking, God, I feel really lost, you imagine it's going to go terribly. And so you never try it out. And then you never know that saying that might make the date go really well because she might really relate to that. And so that kind of like silent but mutually agreed bullshitting of each other that we do, right, we refer to that as pretend mode, I think is really problematic for folks because like there's this huge elephant in the room, which is like, I don't feel necessarily confident about having a plan with my life. By the way, did any of those plans survive COVID? I mean, like they got changed at the least. So I think plans are a scam. And like, what are you doing with your life is a story we tell ourselves and can tell other people.
It's more like what you do with things that are presented, whether it's an opportunity, a challenge, or both. Like you don't really know at the time like what it's going to be. It's more like you see something and then you act on it rather than saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. It's more, okay, this is happening and I'm going to do something.
You're not a good poker player because you get dealt the best cards all the time.
Right, it's what you do. It's what you do.
How
with
you
them.
play your hand.
Yeah. And that's life is how you play your hand. There is
people say like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do X, Y, or Z until blah, 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 blah. And like, that's just not how it works. Like you have to just like be in the moment and
you can win on 8-6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. People that I think have a more resiliency and healthier are able to kind of just.
Well, don't you think you also have to be building towards that? Like certain opportunities that I've gotten is because I was ready for them and I was building.
Yes.
I've done over 1,500 episodes.
Wow.
So it's like, this isn't just out of luck that there's a resume, there's a longevity and a duration that it's been going on. So it's also building towards something.
How much of it was willing to fuck up?
Oh, a lot of it. Dude, the first 2 years I was doing this was awful.
Yeah, but that's what's great, like that you take those chances. And I think that when people like really, really scared and don't take any chances and just kind of avoid any kind of conflict, any kind of stress in their life, they don't really grow in any way.
One of the things I think that's crucial about being a successful person or getting there is getting comfortable with fucking up a lot on the way, which doesn't mean you should be a chronic miserable failure. It means that being able to take risks and failing and learning that can be okay is how people succeed eventually. Being afraid of failing will keep you from trying anything that might be cool at the end of the day. And so getting practice with failure and having that be part of a story you can tell yourself and tell other people proudly, that's getting good at life.
Yeah, that's a great point because I feel that way about working out and like jiu-jitsu. First 6 months that I was taking classes, I was just getting ragdolled by kids half my age, half my weight because I just didn't know. And then you start seeing that, oh, you know what? Every time they take my back, I'm not getting choked out, right? Or if you're working out in the beginning, maybe you can't bench 90 pounds, and then from there you start growing. So it's like the baby steps, the little steps. Or do you feel like some people, when they go through these mental health issues, they look to hit a home run right away, or instead of getting a base hit, getting on small steps leading to big wins?
They're like waiting for something to happen that won't happen. That something will change in their life in a way that like is not realistic. So we have to look at the more sort of stepwise kind of things. Absolutely incremental.
Social media, or prior to social media, I think was really good at giving people the impression that other people were just crushing it every
All
time.
the time, right?
And what I like about social audio as a format is like you get to hear people in real time not doing things perfectly and getting better over time at using that format, for example. And that's really, I think that's great. But like imagining everyone else does everything perfectly because you only see the curated version of it at the end of the day is like kind of awful and paralyzing. One of my favorite photographers is a woman named Sally Mann, and I got to meet her daughter. And there's this amazing photograph she took of her son in a river. And this is like a photograph that like inspired me. I went to a museum to see this damn thing. And she's like, oh yeah, my mom took 50 pet copies of that before she got the final one. and it was bad 50 times. Like, oh, no wonder the final thing I saw in the book is good, because she messed it up over and over and over and over and over again, but had the idea of what good would eventually look like. And so what we see in this collection is, perfect. Behind perfect is all of this practice. And we don't imagine that practice when we're looking at successful people. And if we did, it would be a little bit easier for us.